The third part of the working triangle is obviously the refrigerator. The refrigerator is always the hardest thing to work with because it's so big, it's boxy, it's a large element to hide. So what I try to do is I try to make it into a piece of furniture. And in this instant you can see that after you apply panels onto a Sub-Zero refrigerator, then you need to start layering the design of that element. And what I did here was I incorporated a corbel, and instead of fluting this pilaster, I did a raised molding on it. Now this molding here and here is applied on. It gives it a softer feel, but at the same time it's making a statement. I then pushed back the center part slightly to give this pilaster a three-dimensional effect, created an arch, and incorporated a different element. You can see that beadboard in the back is a little bit of a separation from this elegance. And what I do is I not only put a separate element there, but I also make that a different color. So for example, if this was painted and glazed, I would make that into a cherry back. So now you'd have a contrast between the light and the dark. And then of course the arch gives it some kind of interest. I could have certainly squared this element off, but I thought, why not incorporate an arch here to now give myself an area where I can put these carved elements here to give this a little bit more interest and to tie these two corners together. Again, a very important element on doing this also is making sure that these corbels are flatter. If the projection of the corbel is too far, that crown molding is going to be too dominant. So you want to make a statement, but you don't want to overemphasize on how much of a differential there is. So again, pushing that corbel out about 3 or 4 inches is really vital to get the right balance of proportion and scale and not too much projection to make that corbel be overpowering. I wrap that with a carved application of a crown all the way around here. So again, carrying that element to the corbel element to the onlay element. Now on top, this is a very different application because it's not an open shelf. It's just using the cabinet and enclosing it with carvings and cabinetry. Now this is a 36-inch refrigerator. That model is a Sub-Zero. And what I did with this was I incorporated an armoire type of feel. So you can see the top carved element is really creating a peak, a focal point, a medallion. And then from there I'm carrying it into the capitals on either side. And all those elements are all matching to each other. It's all in a canthus leaf. And on this, instead of incorporating a flat element, I did a half round. That half round there is now softening the look, giving us a different element. I'm carrying it down to the bottom, creating a base to it, and then going into my base molding that wraps around the rest of the refrigerator cabinet. The center panel on this, I want to do something completely different. So unlike this here, which is all raised panel and wood, on that one I incorporated mirror. It's a beveled mirror on that. And I did wooden mullions on this. These wooden mullions incorporate the wood, which is cherry in this application, with the mirror here. So both of those have a contrast and again, a beautiful reflection of mirror. Another very important element of this piece is using hardware that meets the proportion and the scale of the armoire. What I did here is I wanted to make sure that that refrigerator handle was at least 18 inches. I wanted to do something really substantial with it. A lot of times designers are afraid to use a larger scale. Everything in this rendering is larger scale. It's a taller piece, it's a large element, you have capitals that are substantial, and I think that these elements here have to support it. If they were too small, 8 inches or so, they would not be able to support this entire field. Now the third piece that I want to point out to you is using this element here. Normally what I want to do is I want to do a refrigerator and make that my focal point, but it should not stop there. The importance of this refrigerator is what's going to happen on either side of it. Now normally I end up doing countertops which give you function on either side and then doing wall cabinets on either side to make this a more important element. Therefore what I would do is drop a wall cabinet down anywhere between 6 to 12 inches on either side to at that point have anyone looking at this knowing that this is the most important element on that wall and the other two pieces are supporting it. Again, those two supporting pieces are just as valuable as the centerpiece that's the most important element. So again, these two are complementing this. Your eye is going to the center because these two are supporting the center line.